Tonight I'm working on been working on some belt grinder stuff. I think I'd posted recently on Instagram. I'd made another belt grinder, um, I basically want to try to convert this one area of my shop into an area where I can have all my grinders in one area. I had recently put a motor on this belt sander, and so I put this new different motor on this one, and it was three phase originally, and so I'd got it up and running, and I've been using it quite a bit. And then this is my old KMG clone that I built many years ago in Milwaukee, and then I have another KMG horizontal clone that I basically just kind of modeled off of the one they sell, except theirs has an aluminum base, and I made a steel base for mine. And so this is another old one I've had for a long time that I made up. Just kind of copied off the dimensions on Beaumont Metalworks website. So I made up this other belt sander you can see over here. So this is the new one that I've just gotten set up and got a large wheel on it. And so I've been wanting to make a stand. I've got a third one I've got going there as well. So I wanted to make a stand so that I could kind of get rid of this table. This table I've had for a while as well, and honestly, just it gets a lot of mess, grinding mess and stuff on the table. And all of these grinders, I've put big, heavy steel bases for the base plate. Normally, I think when you get this, if you were to buy one of these, you buy probably just this and then mount it to a tabletop or whatever. And so I have those big steel plates. So I thought, I'll make some separate stands, and then I can put buckets underneath for grinding, for water to catch all the dust, stuff like that, to kind of keep the dust down over here. And so I thought, I'll make some tables using the base as that tabletop. And so luckily I've got a ton of material. This was some racking, a racking system for pallets that you can stack on. And honestly, I miss this because when I was in Milwaukee, these actually came from UWM, and they were a part of this racking system that the theater department had. And so they had told me, if you want, you can have this racking stuff, you can have the material. And it was pretty interesting because a lot of times, anytime there was a production that they would do for a year during the semester or something, that a lot of times they would, at the end of that production, they would pull a dumpster up outside of our sculpture loading dock area, and they would just like trash everything that was a part of that production. So there's always steel tubing. A lot of the students that I work with, Christoph, Chad, different people like that, we would go through that dumpster at the end of the semester and pull stuff out because there was always a ton of material. I've built numerous things with materials from the theater department at UWM and the materials they would throw out. So this racking system was left at the Kenilworth building, and basically they had pulled it out of, they had a storage facility there in Kenilworth, and they said, we want this stuff gone, we're just going to scrap it. And so I went down and cut it all apart into manageable tubes. There were these tubes were about the length that you see here, a little bit longer, and I cut them all down and saved them, and then proceeded to move them across the country when I moved. So because it's good building material. So I am going to make part of these stands out of that material. And then the other thing I'm using is this material right here, and this was all cut up from the previous owner of this shop and our property, he had left. He had made a table, and it was it's kind of like, it was a table that probably wasn't all that useful to me, so I just cut it up, and then he had some leftover pieces as well. So I cut it up, and I'll use that as my cross braces. Two Harbor Freight cabinets that are put together. I had owned one of these Harbor Freight sandblasters previously, and it was a great unit. I wound up, I did change out the gun. The gun's kind of cheap that comes with it. I did plumbed a foot pedal for instead of a trigger on the gun, which I think is a nice addition to it. It's made a big difference. And also modified the siphon system that goes down inside the cabinet that sucks up the sand, and so modified that. But the big difference between this and your standard cabinet basically is I've taken two cabinets and I have stuck them together. So what I did was normally on a cabinet you've got the door that opens up right here. And so I had gotten these a good deal on these because they run deals on these cabinets quite often from Harbor Freight. And I basically took the other end down here of the other cabinet, and I cut this open and basically married the two. I didn't weld them, I just sealed them up, and then I did connect the legs together and fasten those together. I think in the future I probably would come back and lay a strip of metal around here because I do get a little bit of seepage in that seam. But what it's allowed me to do is I can take these tubes, which are long, right, and I can fit something long ways in here and be able to sandblast larger items. And I was first I first thought about this because when I was in graduate school at the U of I, in the sculpture area, we had a scat, I think it was a Scat Blast sandblaster, and it was a dual cabinet like this, and you could actually, two people could get in and use it at the same time. If you were working on a really long piece, one person could be working on one end of it, and the other person could work on the other end. So it was just something really, it was a nice feature of the cabinet, and so I always thought, boy, if I have a shop big enough in the future, I'd like to have kind of a dual cabinet like this. So, and I have wired this up with lights. I put different lights. I put some outdoor lights in it that really illuminate things well. So it's just kind of like a all-weather light fixtures that I mounted in there and wired into a switch. So kind of convenient. And I run it right now just off a shop vac. It would be in the future be nice to add a kind of a HEPA filter, Scat Blast dust collection system on it. just finished welding up the stands for the grinders, and so I just thought I'd show you how those ended up. All right, so turned out pretty well. I had to put some, I'll have to get some rubber isolators on the feet. Everything's level, but right now there's enough vibration that it sends through the metal frame. So I just put some little rubber, some sheets underneath of that just to kind of deaden the vibration a little bit. Everything runs smooth. I'll probably make a shelf to go in down beneath, and yeah, it came out super sturdy. Everything with the base, everything runs smooth. So next is just a wire and a switch on this one. Get that finished up, and then I'll probably make a stand or a mount for the belts. Up until this point, I've been just keep my belts there, but I'll either do something on the wall or I might do something on the stand. We'll see. And then I need to make a mount for a lamp, on each one. So I always like to have a good light over the area where I'm grinding. So I think I'll just do that as well. So yeah, pretty cool to be able to use just scrap metal and have stuff that's on hand to be able to make that out of. And feels good to have that done. I'll try to figure out what I'm going to do about this other area over here where I've got the horizontal grinder. Right now it's mounted through the table, so I have to figure that out and how I want to do that. I might make a separate stand for it. We'll see. Have to look for some ideas on that. So, but that's where I'm at. Again, thanks for coming along for the ride on this one and checking everything out. And if you've got any questions about it, feel free to contact me, and try to subscribe if you can and like, and any comments are welcome. And so thanks for watching. Catch you later.